What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and some more Birthright domain reviews here. So we're moving on with, again, more in the Eastern Marches, and we're taking a look at really a fun one today, and that's Osoerde, which is not available for PCs at all, but it's just one of the best ones to try adventuring in. And there's so many other things going on in neighboring domains, but just here you actually have an active conflict, whereas everything else, at least the way the core book or core setting here presents it is, there's definitely a lot of tensions between all the different domains, but as of yet, there's really no active, overt military conflict happening. A lot of sort of behind the scenes stuff, but in just about any realm, anything could boil over with conflict with one or more of the neighbors, or even internal conflicts. But Osoerde, you actually start in the middle of a civil war here, and that's really where there is some interesting opportunity for DMs. And also, even if you were still running a domain in, let's say, a neighboring realm, whether it's something on the southern coast or neighbors in the Eastern Marches here, it is definitely a realm that if you're bordering it, you're going to want to be aware of, which way the conflict is going, and you certainly will have a stake in who you ultimately want to win there, or maybe you'll interfere yourself if you're running a domain. But again, ideal one here, if you want to do some adventuring, certainly. So, Osoerde, lawful evil under Jason Renick's rule, and chaotic good under William Morgan's. Not available for PC, so Osoerde is an excellent villainous realm, at least for the moment. So as we can see there, the law situation is definitely going to be complicated as there is a civil war. There's multiple temples here. Guild situation is also not quite so simple. But then the sources, though, are all controlled by the second, or actually the Swamp Mage, and then the second Swamp Mage. So there's also some interesting things going on there. So let's take a look at the political situation here. The rightful ruler of Osoerde is William Morgan, so mid-level fighter, pretty solid bloodline. However, his late father's most trusted lieutenant, Jason Renick, a little bit higher up, very similar bloodline, and he's lawful evil, has usurped the throne. The self-named duke has divested the old region of his power, leaving Morgan bereft of his father's blessing and running from bounty hunters after the reward for his death. The cruel duke delights in causing pain and demonstrating his own might, so definitely someone who's ripe for just the right kind of adventuring party to maybe take him down, or at least start foiling his plans. This arrogant, sneering man takes excessive pride in his darkly handsome face. He keeps his alliances secret, but all know his enemies include Cornace and Arenway. So again, if you happen to be running those domains, know that you have his attention, and you should definitely be taking steps to protect your domain. Again, both of these domains despise what he's done, so definitely has some enemies there. Though young, William Morgan has eyes with wisdom that belies his age. He fled while still a teenager to avoid the headsman's blade, and now he attempts to build an army to roust the Duke from power. His youth leads one to expect a certain naivete from him, and he uses that assumption to lead his enemies into his clutches. Still, the Duke has proven too canny to fall into Morgan's traps, almost as if the usurper knew of them in advance. So, could be some double agents in his group there. Now, ideally, you would be working, if you're adventuring here, and maybe being sent from, again, Cornace or Renway or any other realm with an interest here, and maybe seeing that William Morgan is actually put on the throne and dealing with Jason Renick. So again, there could be lots of opportunities there, especially if, again, you're sent on a mission from one of those neighboring domains to maybe either aid Morgan or at least work against the Duke. So Terence Griffin here, lieutenants, leads the Duke's men in their pursuit of the fugitive rightful Duke. This hard, capable man seems as untrustworthy as his master. The core of ambition deep within him fuels his desire to destroy Jason Renick as soon as he has captured and executed Morgan. So doesn't really even have a trusted lieutenant to work with here. William Morgan travels with a small band of companions. These fellow scions and hardy commoners all enjoy the heir's implicit trust. Each has saved his life in one way or another over the years. With them, he's slowly gaining enough power to retake his throne. But that being said, again, it seems like the Duke is always one step ahead of them, so could be a traitor or two in his crew here. The provinces, so it's a fairly sizable domain too. 8 provinces are governed from the capital of Moriel, located in Moriel Province. From its position in the center of the realm, the Duke can ride forth with little delay to answer the needs of his people and to inflict punishment. Other NPCs here, so this is an interesting one. 2 mages have taken over the swamps of Osoerde. Though little is known of these two, most folks have heard them called mortal enemies. One serves the unlawful duke, while the other aids Morgan in his quest to become regent. So again, Swamp Mage 1, Swamp Mage 2. So definitely something that the DM can work to flesh out a little bit more in a campaign, and certainly could be for some interesting role-playing too, depending on which of those you encounter, and figuring out which one is aiding the evil duke or the rightful one. So these two different swamp mages here. Except for its southern swamps, Osoerde is a land of gentle hills and fields of golden wheat. The terrain has little variety. The flat countryside gradually rises upward from the eastern Gulf towards the heartlands. Cattle and horses run here, some tame and some wild. These days find the Duke raising castles along the kingdom's borders. He says he wants to defend the land, but anyone who knows him realizes he intends the forts to provide a starting point for his armies to sweep across anywhere. So seems a little bit premature here, since he's still trying to track down the rightful ruler and get him out of the way, so before he really gets ahead of himself here. And realistically, Osoerde borders on Gore, which we've covered back when we were talking about the Heartlands, and that is like a military juggernaut. So ideally here, that's a bit ambitious in the description here. So now any of the other domains north or south, and Gore might even be on board. So in that sense, yes, but there's literally no way that Osoerde would be capable of trying to take on, again, a powerhouse like Gore, although some other domains might be on board with those two engaging in conflict just to weaken Gore's position a little bit. So the laws of Osoerde and Reynick seem harsh and unreasonable to locals, but they strive hard to obey them. Those who fail to meet all the obligations of the law unfailingly suffer severe punishments. The Duke's two favorite chastisements these days are impalement and crucifixion, so it was almost like a little Vlad the Impaler going on here. The sight of a peasant nailed to a tree deters some travelers from entering the domain, as it would, right? It also keeps guild activity in the realm to an acceptable minimum. So, again, we see here a couple of different guilds. So the Dirk Waters hold. So again, Baruch Zeke, not wise or well worth any region of cultivating that relationship with the dwarves there. And then GH here. So that's Gorian Hiriele, the Highland Overland Traders. So again, the guild situation here doesn't seem too complicated or too cutthroat. And again, we're a little bit lacking in description, unfortunately, for that. So again, taking those domains separately at the end of this section, we'll see if we can flesh out a little bit more there. Now, the temple situation is, again, also a little bit more complicated. So we have the Impregnable Heart of Halen, which, again, is going to be kind of like the dominant religion. And then the Church of Storm's Height, and just checking the others here, then the One True Church of Vosgard, which, again, we're not really given any information on. There's just the one. So interesting that we see that little sort of, we'll call it an outpost of their religion here in this domain. So, but again, it could be a little bit of religious conflict played up here, as certainly as part of the Civil War as well here. So, moving on from that slight segue there. So obviously the people feel less than happy under Jason Reynick's rule. On the other hand, Reynick has promised those that speaking rebellion will see their families and friends die slowly before their eyes. Well, yeah, he's crucifying and impaling people. That kind of gets the message across, but you can only push people so far. So he's also offered a substantial reward for anyone who turns in citizen speaking rebellion. So yeah, so basically he's kind of getting like everyone paranoid, neighbors spying on neighbors, and that's not doing William Morgan any favors to work on regaining his throne and sort of building more goodwill with the people. So, but that I think would be at the heart of the conflict here, and that's really what makes Osoerde such an interesting one to adventure in, certainly. Finally, yet William Morgan continues to travel among the people, speaking the very words the usurper Duke has forbidden the rest of them to utter. The true Duke has avoided traps set for him and kept a step or two ahead of Reynick's men. But he won't be able to do it forever. Without aid, he'll soon meet his demise. And so that could be an interesting way of entering the domain, maybe again sent from either a Renway, Cornace, or any other domain that really wants to see Reynick undone. So maybe you're there to prove yourself and offer aid. but again, should come with some hopefully just rewards. And who knows what you might encounter. You might be able to help Morgan uncover, again, maybe a potential traitor or two in his mists. There's the situation with the swamp mages. Again, could be some interesting questing there, or potential opportunities for a wizard or two in the party to learn from one of these wizards. The evil one's probably going to be not so disposed towards that, but again, could also help undermine Raynick by getting rid of his sort of pet wizard. So there's lots of opportunities here, and again, just depending on how the DM wants to play up any potential religious or maybe even guild conflict in here. So this is just a very complicated realm in that sense that, again, we have already a very real and ongoing conflict. This is almost more like in some sense, you could look at Morgan kind of as like a Robin Hood figure. He's trying to sort of right a lot of wrongs here and sort of create popular rebellion against this sort of tyrannical Duke in Jason Raynick. So fun to adventure in. Lots of great times over the years doing some adventures and stuff for various campaigns that we've held. And again, even if you're not just purely adventuring and you're running a domain, certainly you would have interest if you're bordering Osoerde, so basically either a Renway or Cornace, figuring out where you stand in the conflict and how you want to proceed. But again, realizing that the western border of Osoerde is also Gore, which again is this military juggernaut. So any actions you take certainly are going to have to be very careful without bringing that domain into conflict with yourself, just because, again, not much that's going to stand up on the eastern marches to Gore militarily. So, but again, definitely a fun one. The eastern marches here have, again, some just great and fertile role-playing opportunities, gaming opportunities. So let us know in the comments, guys, if you have indeed played in and or around Osoerde. Hit us up in the comments, let us know. Like and subscribe. As always, we've got some more domains to cover here for the Eastern Marches, so stay tuned for the next one, and we'll see you. Take care.